What up, cellar dwellers? This is Overlord Dan from the Movie Cellar, and you're watching our series, Month of Horrors, Cheap Thrills. I think this is my 7th installment, which means we're pretty deep into it. You know, we're getting close. We're in the home stretch to Halloween. We call this series Cheap Thrills because all the movies that we are watching this month were all purchased at the Dollar Tree for $1 each. If you're interested in hearing more about how we picked them, we did a draft, and that whole draft is available on our podcast. You can listen to that. You can listen to other episodes of our show if you're so inclined. We've done Nightmare on Elm, we've done Night of the Living Dead. We've done Psycho. You know, we've done a bunch of cool horror movies and other movies too. So check us out. We'd love it. You can find us on Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or Spotify or like a million other places. So anyway, without further ado, the movie that I'm going to talk about in this installment was, so this is my 7th. Yeah, this is my 7th go, then that makes it my 10th pick, my last pick. This was the last movie I picked, and it is The Houses October Built. And I picked this one because it says it's from the producer of Insidious and Paranormal Activity. Makes sense. It's like found footage, like Paranormal Activity. I guess Paranormal Activity's found footage. Yeah. It's like a lot of like security cameras, but this is more like hand cameras. So the deal with this movie is, first of all, this is the first like genuinely fucking scary movie that I've watched so far in this month of horrors. Watched a lot of fun movies, watched a lot of gory movies. They were all pretty funny, pretty campy. This one was going for like the legit scares. So basically the idea is it's this group of friends, look like they're in their early 20s. They decide they're going to take a road trip and hit like haunted houses. And they're going for like underground ones, hard to find ones, the ones that are really fucked up. Well, come to find out, they get a little bit more than they bargained for. So, you know, as they're going from haunt to haunt, apparently that's the lingo that the people use. They're called haunts. You know, weird shit happens. Like they see a girl from the first haunt at the second haunt, which is like 100 miles away from the first haunt. And like they're like RV surrounded by clowns, and like all kinds of crazy shit happens. And it just starts to spiral out of control until, you know, well, you have to watch to find out. But it doesn't end well. I'll just say that much. I think it's cool. Like, I mean, I know that growing up, we used to go on. We have a haunted hayride here near where we live, and we used to go to that, and that was always super fun. But it's pretty low key, you know. They had the chainsaws with the, you know, without the chains, and they had the witches, and they had one of the bigger scares was like they would have a wall that, like, you'd be like looking out in the dark and they would just blind you because it would just like this bright light, these floodlights, and then they'd shut off the lights, and then they have all these guys running around and you couldn't see anything because your eyes were, you know, fucked from the light. So, you know, going to haunted hayrides or haunted houses, after you've watched this movie, it might kick them up a notch. So if you're planning on going to one, you're like, man, these are dumb. They're not that scary. Maybe watch this movie first, and then maybe it'll be a little more scary. Or maybe, you know, maybe this won't do anything for you. A lot of people didn't like it. I thought it was pretty fucked up. Anyway, it's like, you know how carnies are really creepy? Now take the creepiness of carnies and make it their job to be creepy. And that really kicks up a notch. Plus, on top of that, like, you don't know, am I like, is this real, or is this just them trying to scare me? And how far do you go before you realize, oh shit, no, they've crossed the line? Probably when they've thrown you in the trunk of their car. You know, this is probably too far. Anyway, here we go. We're going to run through the categories. And like in all my other installments, each category will either get a thumbs up if it was good, a thumbs down if it was bad, or a thumb to the side if it was okay. Comme ci, comme ça, as the French would say. For gore, I'm going to give it like a thumb sideways. There's a lot of gore, like fake gore, that's supposed to be fake in the movie because they're at haunted houses. But when the actual gore starts up, you don't see anything because it's all found footage. So it gets the thumb sideways for the gore in the haunted houses that was part of the haunted houses, but it doesn't get any credit for the gore of the actual, events. Music. I thought the music was pretty good. I'll give it a thumbs up. A soft thumbs up, but a thumbs up. A lot of kind of industrial rock that kind of fit. It fit well. Made you a little edgy, uneasy, things like that. Ambiance, top notch. This movie is all ambiance, They're in scary places, trying to be scared. It's dark. You can't see things good. Like you're not supposed to be able to see things well. There's a lot of strobe lights. It's all shot on hand cameras. So they drop cameras and you get bad angles. So you miss things and it's perfect, and plus they're going to these haunts out in the middle of nowhere in the woods, and that's super creepy and it's always dark. It's perfect. Ambiance, you can't beat the ambiance of this film. Creativity, I guess I'll give it a thumbs up. I mean, I've never seen a movie quite like this, It is like found footage, which I feel like is a little overdone, but the story itself, with the idea of these people being stalked by the haunted house workers is kind of original. Suspense and jump scares, thumbs up. The suspense builds the whole movie. Weird things are happening, but you're constantly questioning yourself of whether this is just part of the shtick for the haunted house or whether it's real. And there's a lot of jump scares, a lot of really pretty decent jump scares, both in the haunted houses and when they're outside of the haunted houses. So yeah, definitely suspense and scares, thumbs up. Lasting impact, I mean, it was scary and it was pretty original and it was pretty fun if you want to kind of get scared, but there's a lot scarier movies, and there's a lot funner movies. So lasting impact, I'm gonna have to give it a thumbs down. This one's not really gonna stick with me. I mean, I'm gonna remember oh yeah, that was kind of scary, but I probably won't put it back in anytime soon. Overall, I'm gonna give the movie a thumb sideways. It's worth checking out. Like I said, if you're planning on going to a haunted house anytime soon, throw this in beforehand and it'll make you kind of think, is that clown really a murderer and going to cut out my tongue? Is that chainsaw real? Does it really have a chainsaw blade on it? It could happen. Who knows? The documentary vibe of the film really lends it some ooh, this feels real. So, in that case, check it out. If you're looking for something fun, there's more fun. Like I already said, if you're looking for something really fucked up, there's stuff out there that's a lot more fucked up. And what's the matter with you looking for fucked up shit? Come on, give me a break here. Anyway, I'm not here to judge you for what you like to watch and what scares you. I'm just here to tell you about the movies we watched in the movie cellars. Month of Horrors. Cheap thrills. Anyway, tune back in tomorrow. We'll have another episode for you. Later.